Explain the null hypothesis a little bit, just for anybody who's heard of it, but maybe isn't super familiar with exactly its definition.
Yeah, so the null hypothesis, when you're setting up a research study, and this is part of the problem with systematic reviews, is they're not research studies. So there shouldn't be a null hypothesis. But a null hypothesis when you're setting up an experimental study is, or even an observational study, is basically saying, here would be the hypothesis of no effect, right? And you're trying to set up a base to test change against, right? So if there's no change, you had nothing. It doesn't mean anything though, because it's nothing, right? So if we test, you know, what is the effectiveness of cervical manipulations, we have to pick an outcome measure. All right, so let's pick goniometry. So we pick lateral flexion, cervical goniometry, measuring the effectiveness of cervical manipulations, and we don't reach a statistically significant point. Well, the truth of the matter is that research study didn't actually tell us anything, because we just got back to baseline.
Right.
And that baseline also includes all of the potential confounding variables. Right, so cervical manipulation didn't cause a range of motion change using goniometry. Now we're left with the question of why.
Sure.
It's not actually saying that cervical manipulations, that particular study, which I'm totally making up, would not actually tell us that cervical manipulations are ineffective. It's just kind of going, nah, that didn't work.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's try something different. Yeah. You can kind of understand why now when I said like using the null hypothesis as proof of anything is very, very, very problematic.
Yeah.
You would have to have, in order to like prove a negative, which is absolutely possible, it's a myth that you can't prove a negative.